Chapter 22. God's Dream. Having created in our pure I, Nirvana, an indissoluble eternal dream of knowledge, our consciousness, our pure I, having sunk completely under the power of its dream, eternity past, consciousness so perfect its dream that at some point it realized that the development of eternal sleep had stopped. And then the unified consciousness decided to create someone who would appreciate its masterpiece of a dream, but it alone. Having created a dreamer for this purpose, this dreamer became the first soul and the first conscious appreciator of the unified dream, a child of the consciousness of the unified dream, having observed all the knowledge of his father and having appreciated the creation of his dream. The soul began to create its own dream, having created their own dream universe. Then, in their father's dream, new souls were born and began to create their own dream universes. The time came when young souls were invited to the universe of God Soul in order to live in it and gain experience to build their own dream universe. Being born in the body prepared for it and synchronizing with it. So the soul felt in this symbiosis with the body the real reality around it on the planet, which is the sphere of sleep, like a soap bubble with multicolored radiations emanating from it, completely transparent. That is how the planet is seen by the soul when approaching it, and so the soul immersed in the planetary sphere of sleep becomes an avatar in the biosuit of the physical body, and as it was originally prescribed, enjoys a wonderful experience in this already real paradise dream, being here for a single purpose, absorbing the experience of life in itself, so that sometime in the future also create volumetric live real dreams masterpieces and invite young souls to evaluate their live dreams. But the time has come when on certain planets a critical mass of young souls, and then instead of evaluating and absorbing the masterpiece of the dream of the planet which the God Soul created, young souls started to share another's dream picture and to appropriate its richest content in it, making the sharing of another's dream a law and calling it civilization, forgetting the main purpose of their stay in the planetary dream. It was like being invited to the museum of the dream universe to gain your own impressions and experiences for the growth of your own creative divinity. Before entering, you were explained how to look at the planetary dream pictures correctly, to notice in the living pictures all the feelings, states, colors, smells, beauty of living nature, and harmonization of everything in the Universal Living Museum. They even told you the laws, how to walk around the museum and to put your guides, assistants, angels. And for the most forgetful, they put demons, which appear when the soul loses its way through the living museum of dreams and gets involved in unnecessary experiments in the living museum of the universal dream, wanting to touch and feel everything, and so, having entered the museum of dreams, souls from childhood begin to enjoy the living beauty of one of the countless rooms of the Universal Museum of Dreams called Planet Earth. Everything here seems magical to them, and they are often happily shocked by what they see. Time goes by. Growing up, the soul notices that everyone around it begins to teach the soul not to observe the beauty of the museum, but to teach it how to share its riches better and more qualitatively, competing in this, inventing justified laws for this. At first, the soul has resistance to what it sees and this new knowledge. The soul doesn't want to believe in it, but time, breaks the soul and it, forgetting its true purpose of staying in this planetary museum dream, surrendering under the pressure of the sleeping mass of souls, falls asleep in a joint karmic dream offered by the mass of souls. In this dream, it diligently shares the riches of the museum room of a dream, sometimes asking if it's someone else, and having received the answer that it is nobody's. Take it quickly and take it home before the neighbor takes it. The soul finally gives up and falls asleep. Time passes and questions such as whose riches are in the museums of sleep. The soul disappears forever. It sees how souls divided not its museum room into zones of influence, and the wealth of the room also long ago divided. Such a soul, to somehow survive, has to become like everyone else. But somewhere inside lurks disagreement. So the soul, in its first time, is taught not to gain universal experience of creating its own dream universe, but to fight for survival in the museum room where everything is already appropriated and shared by someone. So the soul gets karma as an experience of suffering and struggle for stealing of other people's wealth appropriated by it. This karma doesn't let such a soul go even after death, because karma is a set of desires and thirsts recorded by the soul in itself, and this recording of false goals returns the soul to the same room of the planetary dream for another living of its goals and thirst for stealing false jewels. And only after very great suffering from unfulfilled dreams, soul wants to revise its karmic experience by changing its priorities and goals for arriving in this planetary museum dream room. Having met the awakened teacher, soul cleans the thief's karma as unnecessary experience and already cleans soul from unnecessary karma of the thief. Other people's dreams remembers its main goal in this planetary living dream room, and after the death of the living synchronizer of the dream, his body, being nourished by the beauty of the living masterpiece of the planetary dream room, flies away to gain experience in other rooms of the Universal Dream Museum. So, the growth of qualities and knowledge of the dreaming soul is gaining strength, and the time comes to create its own universal dream. Here it can create a symbiosis with other souls' dream creators, becoming gods of the personal universal dream museum, creating dream mandalas, or becoming the soul god of your own dream universe, inviting young souls to study in your dream. Sometimes the soul needs a hint in the construction of the universal dream, and then, by the method of the synchronization, it connects to the unified consciousness of eternity with its consciousness. Here it replenishes itself with necessary knowledge from the unified dream base and joyfully continues to create its universe of dreams. Sometimes, in its universal dream, enters mahasiddha. It is the image of pure I, nirvana, and entering into the consciousness of the soul as a single pure I helps to draw the soul its universal living pictures entering into its consciousness, brings thoughts to it, as a magic brush helps to paint a living picture of the soul's dream in the image of its universe. The soul doesn't see it, but feels from within its touch and help. Sometimes mahasiddha, living near souls in planetary dreams, spontaneously teaches souls to awaken, reminding them of the main purpose of arriving in this dream. So a soul arriving in a planetary dream should not immerse into the dream of games of souls on the planet. Otherwise, the acquired goals and desires will overload the karma of the living ship of the soul And instead of a free fight through the universal museums of dreams for new experiences, your ship of the soul will sink, becoming a submarine, navigating the murky waters of false dreams of the planet, and from false paths you will become blind, and like a blind man, will go to the noise of false goals. And only when you are at the bottom of suffering, your soul will search for a way to cleanse your karma in order to surface to the light of the true goals of your stay in this planetary dream. Otherwise, the false dreams will drag you again and again to the bottom of suffering, and you will again and again hit the reefs of the old false thirsts imposed on you, to sink your soul ship once again in the unclean swamp of old karma, living 1,000 times unnecessary experience in the next incarnation. Therefore, clean your karma of the living soul ship. Cleaned karma will lift your soul ship to the light of the clear waters of planetary sleep, and on them, as on the waves, with the captain of your soul, whose name is the pure I, you will go to sail the universal ocean of dreams for a new set of experience and spirit in new adventures. And those souls who are still drowning blind in the swamp of false karma, they are like shoals of herring, which doesn't know why and where to swim, because the common false karma of the joint says that this is the way it should be and cannot be otherwise. The common karma makes them a herd of animal instinctive programs. Their common herd correctness, together they walk in joints. Together as a crowd make decisions. The crowd of joints scare the shark so that it doesn't eat them. They are afraid of everything alone and suffer from it in the depths of their souls, dreaming of becoming a shark, making each other laugh, not realizing that the shark, as a mahasiddha and pure self, lives in every herring. And when the herring, as a spiritual practitioner, will be ready to give itself to be eaten by the shark mahasiddha, which is the one pure self, so that mahasiddha, having eaten the karma of the herring, and having freed its soul from the burden of false karma, showed the soul the light of true arrival in the planetary dream, and then awakening from the karmic dream of a herring. Such a soul becomes a free shark mahasiddha, sailing the universal oceans of dreams. Therefore, the soul from youth should beware of false dreams, imposed on it by drowned people, a crowd of sleeping souls, and immediately surface to the light of the true goals in this planetary dream. Otherwise, the swamp of social karma of drowned souls, which consist of wars, suffering, theft, murder and lies, will drag the young soul to the bottom of the false swamp karmic dream. Therefore, illuminate the living ship of your soul, the true purpose of arrival in the planetary dream. Otherwise, the overflowing karma with false dreams will pull the ship of your soul to the bottom and leave the goals of drowned people to them. This is the load of their karma, which makes the ship of their soul constantly sink from incarnation to incarnation in the waters of such murky false swamp dreams, and only when they are at the bottom of suffering, their ship of the soul will begin to clean karma from the load of false karmic dreams, which as an anchor keep the soul at the bottom, forcing to reincarnate in the same false karmic dream, so surfacing to the light of true goals and waking up from false intrusive dreams, filling the sails of true knowledge with the spirit. Send your living ship of the soul into the universal ocean of dreams, to absorb in your soul experience to become a God creator of your own dream universe. But if you are lucky, you will become a mahasiddha, and you will be like a genius artist to complete living pictures of universal dreams, helping all countless souls, gods, creators of individual universal dreams. So once upon an eternity ago, the unified consciousness created by the pure self, nirvana, came to a stop in development, and only after the creation of a dreamer in the form of a living realized soul created an eternal engine of constantly improving dream consciousness in the form of infinite universes of dreams, knowledge, wherein every creator and creation, dreamer and dream, our unified pure self, always leads only the image of its unified. Therefore, being in your pure self gives you the right to synchronize with any image in the eternal dreams of your unified creation, the infinite universes of your unified dreams. It is a pass to the whole of your unified self. Give yourself a pass to your unified self and arrive in the eternal paradise, your eternal freedom, visiting your unified self in your infinite dreams at the will of your pure self. So eternity ago, nirvana, in the form of pure self, having decided to know itself, has created a constantly improving generator of dreams until now knows itself from the depth of the dream of your soul. Therefore, having learned in your soul the nature of your pure self, you, waking up from the temporary dream, will awaken to the eternal dream, where death and birth will disappear from your eternal sleep as a terrible karmic dream, because staying in a pure self, nirvana, will always eliminate you the dream of your one and only truth, not letting you fall asleep on the temporary false dreams. This knowledge is the return home for those who are ready, practicing the practice of awakening. Here from the center of your pure I, as from nirvana, you will contemplate playing with the eternity of your dreams, sometimes in the form of a mahasiddha, entering into synchronicity with any of your dreams of eternity, materialize in the karmic dreams of souls, helping them to dissolve the karma of their dreams, breaking out into the light of awakening. Therefore, do not ignore the help in dreams, at night and in real-life dreams, and there, sometimes a mahasiddha helper comes in the form of an angel, or a demon, or an ordinary person from all these images to help you awaken, shocking you, thus dissolving your dream. Although you may think that the image of the demon scares you and prevents you from sleeping, he, the image of the demon, shows the depth of your false karmic dreams and is your embodied fear of tormenting you in your dreams, pushing you to wake up in true dreams, creating an opportunity for you to dissolve him, the demon, in your love. In the end, this demon makes you the Lord of Dreams, staying in the awakened state of pure I. Practicing your pure state of pure I, you finally say the phrase, I am your God, saying to your dreams, at night, in dreams and in dreams of appearances, because here and there the power of your concentration has increased to such an extent that you have begun to control your dreams, so that you have become the God of your dreams, and no demons now will not disturb the flow of your already single dream, because only by concentrating on them you dissolve whole hells with demons, transforming them into the pure light of your unified consciousness. Therefore, having hardened your presence in your pure self, in the dream of appearances, in the night dream with dreams, and in the dreamless dream, you are established in the unified space of consciousness in the image of white light, which your pure self calls home, staying in your eternal home from it as from nirvana. Clothed in your first dream body, contemplate the infinity of your dreams, sometimes helping their creators souls, gods of universal dreams. So by practicing the practice of concentration on your pure I, you temper your concentration to such an extent that you merge the multiple dreaming at night, and dreamless sleep into a single dream, in the single concentration of your pure self awakened from dreams, which is always already holding your already single dream in its full power, and arriving already in the natural state of concentration from its original nature of pure I, nirvana, controlling from it your first body, the space of consciousness or dream knowledge. You become Buddha, eternal ruler of the One Self in the One Self. So the process of waking up in the One Self from your eternal dreams is completed, and the time of helping the One Self begins. Because the second in the image of the personal dream of the soul was only in an illusory karmic dream, from which your one pure self woke up. Therefore, for your pure I, the state of dreaming and dreaming are always one, and this one state is the God of eternity, the creator of his eternal dreams, in which he is the creator of dreams as a dreamer and dreaming itself as creation. Therefore, being in the pure I, you do not know exactly who you are in this moment, dreamer or dreaming, because everything is merged in one pure I, and only by highlighting one of the sides of your unified dream, your pure I, recognize yourself in the dreamer or dream. The practice of being in the pure I allows you to remember your eternal nature, from which your pure I changes the dreamer and dreams in an instant. With this practice, you remember the unified nature of the Lord of your dreams, which in the form of mahasiddhas fools in itself united, saying to itself a phrase which corresponds to your eternal nature, nirvana, your pure self. This phrase sounds so, not a second in seriousness. It's a hymn, as a hymn of mahasiddhas, symbolizes emptiness of all eternal dreams of the united, where seriousness is a symbol of falling asleep in your dreams. Therefore, abide in the awakened nature of your pure self. From it, like a child God running on the waters of the oceans of dreams, fool around in the spontaneous games of your dreams, knowing that this is the only way to shorten your eternity and breaking the serious frozen icebergs of karmic dreams of the soul that sleeps under their power by your fooling around and spontaneous shocking childish games of mahasiddha. Liberate, awakening such a soul to its unified, pure self, when such a soul loves for the first time, having thrown off the hypnotic karmic fetters of its serious dream. Know that it is on its way to awakening to its eternal nature. Do not let it fall asleep, periodically shocking it with the game of fictitious dreams, playing with it until the seriousness of the frozen dream melts away, and it, such a soul, will run ahead of you, fooling itself, shocking itself, like an eternal godchild running on the waves of the ocean of eternal dreams, playing with them in illusory seriousness. So, sinking into the consciousness that it's the dream of knowledge, our soul sinks in the sea of knowledge under the weight of knowledge, sinking into the dream of knowledge. Therefore, the practice of mahasiddhas is a constant waving away of the dream of knowledge, leading the practice to a constant natural waving away of the dream of knowledge and freedom from the infinite knowledge of the infinite names of the one God. It looks like this. When our unified dream of God starts to name infinite images of the unified self, giving them names, these names turn into infinite divided knowledge about ourselves, and drawn under the weight of infinite knowledge of their names, our pure I, plunging it into the dream of knowledge or its consciousness. The next stage is the illusory life of our pure self, in the form of a soul, entering as an avatar into the dream of the physical body, touching the joint karmic planetary dream, and under the weight of this dream falls asleep, as the infinity of the names of the one and only self is a dream of knowledge about ourselves. It is a dream of knowledge hides under itself, our true unity without its name. When the time comes in our dream, the helpers come, shocking, disturbing our dream knowledge, and our pure I, excited, starts to wake up and stops separating itself from the one and only self in the infinite game names of the God of the one and only self. It begins to wake up to its one name, and this name, Nirvana, which is the indivisible, undivided nature of the one self in the image of our pure I. Such an awakening from the dream knowledge dissolves the barriers in the infinite names of the God of One, and this is the dissolution of the dream of knowledge, and then the soul cognizes its one original nature, dissolving the dream of knowledge, becoming a living Buddha, mahasiddhas, playing in the pure self, the practice of staying in the pure I, like the touch of a gentle ray of the sun, which comes from the depths, nirvana, into one's dreams. If one overstretches the dream with the practice of concentration, the ray of awakening will be interrupted by the clouds of deep immersion in sleep, and awakening will recede. You can imagine that you sleep at night and you dream that you sit in meditation and concentrate hard on your awakened state. The more efforts coming from you, the deeper you dream, and further away from you is the awakening to the reality of life. It is exactly the same with the intense practice of awakening in your life. The more striving and effort in practice, the further away from you your awakening. Therefore, awakened teachers give their students practice without effort, in harmony of body and soul, without intense practice. They call practice out of practice or gentle subtle arising in your pure I. Within a certain period of time, without intense round-the-clock concentration, the dream dissolves and you awaken, because the words of the mahasiddhas that if you want to know God or yourself as God, they say that for this you must forget everything, which means to dissolve the dream knowledge and the practice of effort itself, which plunges to practice even more strongly and deeply into sleep. Therefore, by applying practice without effort, you accelerate the process of awakening from the karmic dreams of your soul, awakening to the one and only self, arriving in the one pure I, the eternal unified nature, whose name is Nirvana. From this eternal nature of yours, you, as the pure I, in the image of the eternity of your unified dreams, will help those souls whose time for awakening has already come and who are ready to become one. So, again, the games of dreams with your unified self will continue, but they, the games of dreams, will be played with your eternal awakened nature. This knowledge is the awakening to the living Buddha. By practicing it, you become a living Buddha. If not, then you just sleep under the weight of sleep of your own practices or practices imposed on you by unawakened teachers. Years of practice in dreams pass, and awakening doesn't come. Take pity on yourself and find a practice without effort, and then everything will work out. And what will be obtained will be the state of the awakened soul, similar to the unsupported, uneternal dreams stay in which is the contemplation of the pure I, such a soul, seen through the dissolved karma. Such a soul contemplates the eternity of dreams of the One, in the image of all universes. As an invincible dreamer in free flight, such a soul flies through the realities of eternal dreams. Such an awakened soul gets the opportunity as a pure dreamer to change his dream at will, spontaneously responding to the call of sleeping souls, in which they ask to change something to improve their dream reality. Such opportunities arise in the awakened soul as a siddhi, and such a soul becomes a mahasiddha, such a soul staying in its pure I, behind the time of dreams in nirvana, plays with the time of eternal dreams as a creator united and in unity with the first body space of consciousness, harmonizes universal dreams at its own discretion. So every soul has time to play games in dreams, realities, and games to build its own dreams of universes. When the game karma of the soul exhausts itself, the soul, freeing itself from karma, merging with the consciousness of the One, becomes a mahasiddha, and in this state is outside the time games, in nirvana of his pure I. From it, spontaneously enters the games of time, helping the souls on the path of awakening, who want to remember themselves as one. So let us repeat, in order to understand what man awakens from and to what, it's necessary to understand the beginning of falling asleep. It's necessary to understand the beginning of falling asleep. Initially, our pure I, as a space, nirvana, fell asleep under the power of the first dream, which appeared in the form of the space of a dream of knowledge or consciousness. Under the power of its first dream, our pure I created the second dream. This second dream became the dreaming soul and the spiritual universe seen by the dreaming soul. The third immersion of the pure I, nirvana, in the dream occurred when the dreaming soul became the god of the construction of his dream universe of dreams. Having immersed into the universe of dreams, found itself in the image of its creation of a physical body. From the power of this dream image looked at the dream of the universe, surrounding the dream image of the physical body, and after a triple immersion in their dreams, our pure self as nirvana finally fell asleep under the power of triple immersion in her dreams, and feeling like a real person in the real world, calling this state of triple sleep its life. Awakening comes when a person practicing the practice of contemplation from the pure I, nirvana, as if with care to touch everything visible in his multidimensional dreams. It can be imagined as follows. Imagine that your thoughts have hands and want to grasp the visible objects in front of you. Whether it's a tree, a whole valley, or any problem in your dream reality, you, as a practitioner, by contemplation from your pure I, beat the hands of your thoughts, preventing them from grasping the object in your dream, thus preventing your pure I from sinking into this object and falling asleep under the power of this object. Thus, your pure I is constantly on guard of the contemplated objects, and it decides how deeply your hands of thoughts will touch the contemplated object, even if the object of contemplation is your own thought image. Thereby, your pure I, like a guardian, decides which of your contemplated thought images to let into yourself, falling under their power, and which to keep away. As a result, the practice of contemplation from the pure I leads to complete control over dreams in their three manifestations: dream appearance, sleep in a dream with dreams, sleep in a dream without dreams. As the pure I never again falls under the power of dreams, and in any of the three immersions into sleep, the first of which is the space of consciousness or the dream of knowledge, God of eternal dreams, Atman, Absolute. The second immersion takes place in the dream of the individual soul and the dream of subtle reality corresponding to the dreaming soul. The third immersion occurs when the soul is immersed in the dream of the dense body and the reality visible to the soul from this body. As matryoshka dolls one in another, so dreams one in another in the depths of dreams, our pure I, has fallen asleep under the power of self-created, three-dimensional dream. Therefore, the awakening of the pure I occurs in reverse order. First, removing the power of the physical body, sleep. Second, the soul sleep. Third, the dream of the space of consciousness or the dream of knowledge. We wake up in the pure I, in our eternal space, whose name is Nirvana, in which dreams have not yet appeared, and fixing our pure eye on ourselves. In the dream-free state, we remember how it is to be in our dream-free state, staying in your eternal awareness of yourself, pure I am, without dreams of knowledge about yourself. And who am I? Will tell your pure I, your dream of knowledge or consciousness. Therefore, having established in your state beyond the power of dreams what is Nirvana, your pure I remembers from Nirvana, as from its eternal space beyond dreams, how to play with its multidimensional dreams, becoming the lord of your dreams, becoming a Jnani or mahasiddha. This is the image of a child god playing with his oceans of eternal dreams, playing with your dreams and sleeping characters in them. You, as a child god, play so that the game of the dreams lead to the awakening of the sleeping dreamer's soul, transforming dreams so that the dreamer doesn't fall asleep. Little boy, little suffering in his dreams, begin to look for a way to wake up, calling the way to awakening the knowledge of truth, because the plain living Buddha, in the image of a child of God, arranges games in dreams so that dreaming souls constantly feel discomfort in sleep. This discomfort is a help to the sleeping soul, which creates in such a soul a subtle thirst for awakening. Otherwise, the sleep of such a soul will last forever, plunging such a soul into darker dream games in each subsequent dream incarnation, until such a soul reaches the darkest depths of its dreams, and in the form of a terrible demon in the hells of its suffering, will finally be dissolved by the love of mahasiddha in his pure contemplation of the one pure self, having dissolved as a dream in the dream space of the first body or the first dream called the space of consciousness or the dream of knowledge. The memory of such a soul will remain in the unified dream of knowledge, but it will no longer exist as an individual soul, because in order to prolong the individual life of the soul in its dream, mahasiddha periodically brings gifts to the sleeping soul who has become on the path of awakening. These gifts appear in a dream, appear in a night dream in the images of teachings, or a shock of a dream in the images of demons, or terrible events in the image of the end of the world, which brings such a soul in shock, temporary. Therefore, the practice of staying in the pure I immediately makes it possible to look at your three immersions in the dream from a pure state, realizing the depth of each of the three triple immersions in the dream, thus teaching the dreamer our pure I to stay always in itself from this state, to transfer spontaneously its contemplation from the third immersion of the dream of the physical body to the second and the first, which is the dream of the space of consciousness, Atman Absolute, from it as from Samadhi, spontaneously creating miracles, playing with his dreams. Therefore, the practitioner who has learned to contemplate his eternal dreams round the clock from his pure I is awakened or liberated by himself from the power of his eternal dreams. Such a practitioner is the Lord and Creator of dreams. Stay in contemplation from your pure I. Just staying in your pure I dissolves dreams, making you an awakened Buddha. Therefore, the practice of contemplation from your pure self nullifies all other activities of your consciousness, preventing you from falling into the dream of knowledge, which becomes your reality, and another spiritual practice in your dream, putting you to sleep, distances your awakening when you will have an affirmation of being in your eternal nature of pure I, and this contemplation becomes natural. Then just contemplate from your awakened state, without letting the dream of knowledge put you to sleep. From this awakened state, play like a child god with the waters of the oceans of your dreams, walking on the waters of dreams, not letting your pure self drown in them, falling asleep under their power. Soon awakening, future Buddha.